Hi, my name's Michael, and today I was planning to upload my non-bookish wrap-up, but I had a bit of an existential crisis, and I thought I'd tell you the story of it. Yesterday, Steph from A Time to Read left me a comment, and it really triggered this crisis in me. What happened was I was at church last night with my wife, and I was thinking about what Steph had said. And I started freaking out, and my wife asked me, really concerned, what was wrong. And the problem is, well, Steph said if she read 100 books a year, she would only read 5,800 books in her lifetime. And I was thinking about it. I started reading late, and I have read over 100 books since I was 30, so if I live to I'm 80, that's only 5,000 books I would read in my lifetime. And that is not enough books because there are so many books I want to read, and I have been freaking out about this because how am I going to decide what will make those books? It is true that I read a little bit more than 100 books a year, but you have to take into account book clubs and rereads and things like that. So if I only read 100 books that are new to me every year, really have to crack down on what I'm reading because 5,000 books is definitely not going to be enough books, and there are so many books I really want to read, and so many books I am anxious to read. But there are books that I read because I think that might be entertaining, and maybe I shouldn't be reading books that I'm only curious about. Maybe I should be only reading the books I'm desperate to read. It's the only way I'm going to get through most of the books I want to read, and I know that in my lifetime I'm never going to read all the books I want to read, and I really have to try and work out a better system. I need to learn to DNF books because there isn't much time, and as a book lover, the thought of only reading 5,000 books in my lifetime is terrifying. And that's assuming I live to 80. My wife might stab me in my sleep long before that. I'm kidding, I don't believe she would do that. I have been thinking really hard about this and trying to work out just what I need to do just to make sure that my reading life is the best possible. And that means I'm going to have to start reading the books I want to read and not picking up books just because I heard good things and I just want to check it out. Because the thought of never getting to all the books I really want to read is just causing me too much stress. If you are the type of person that believes in heaven, then you probably believe that heaven is a huge library full of books to read for eternity, which would be wonderful, and that would mean hell would be the same library just on fire. All jokes aside, I really need to just really take a hard look at my reading life and send all the books back to the library that I'm not anxious to read and just focus on the books that I really want to read. Because life is too short, and I am lucky that I read a lot of books. I'm lucky that I can read 100 books a year. I can't imagine only being able to read 2,000 or 1,000 books in my lifetime. So I'm privileged that I have that time to read, and I definitely need more time to read if I want to read more books, and I really need to reevaluate my reading life because there's just not enough time. I love reading, and I have so many books on my list. If I sat down and thought about it, I could probably pick 5,000 books that I want to read. My TBR on Goodreads is not that bad, but I could probably hit 5,000 just thinking about it. And that is not including books that come out in my lifetime that would have to be read. I'm hoping authors like Anthony Murray will be releasing more books in my lifetime, and I definitely don't want to miss out on reading those. So I thought I'd just share this story with you and maybe get people to think about what 5,000 books would you read if you limited yourself to 5,000 books. Would that change your reading habit? Because it's definitely going to change mine. I'm already planning to send pretty much all the books I have out from the library back without even reading them, with the exception of one. There is a Vladimir Nabokov book there that I am curious to read, but it wasn't a finished novel of his, so I'm just going to send it back and maybe I'll get it out from the library again. I'm definitely going to change things up. I will still be participating in group reads and book club, but I'm just going to be more focused because I have way too many books I want to read, and if I plan to get to most of them, I have to start straight away. If I look back at the 5 years I've spent so far reading, there are a lot of books that I definitely wouldn't have read if I knew that I was only going to read 5,000 books. And I am hoping that I will read more than that, but I have to be realistic about things and just be more selective. There's just not enough time to read bad books or even books that are average. If the book appeals to me, then maybe I'll read it, but if I wasn't interested in it, but I have some curiosity about it, maybe it's not a book I should be reading. If you have any thoughts on this topic, I'd love to hear it, because at the moment I'm freaking out. And I'm almost tempted to write down the 5,000 books that I need to read and stick to that list only, but I like to read on a whim, and 5,000 books is probably a decent selection. But as I grow as a reader, there are going to be new books that I discover and new authors that I discover. It's just a matter of reading for myself and my taste, rather than just reading whatever comes my way. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, and thank you for watching. I'm going to go now and freak out a little more about this, and hopefully my next video will be my non-bookish wrap up for February.